Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, Ravens Nation, Ravens flock, Ravens fan all over the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the King Ravens Fan Chat video podcast show. I'm your host, King Raven, live and in color. I want to thank you for all of your support. I want to thank you for subscribing. I want to thank you for commenting. I want to thank you for talking with me. I want to thank you for calling me. I want to thank you for emailing me. I just want to thank you for all the love of my videos so far. We're going to get better and better each time we do a video. It's going to be better and better, and our subjects are going to get better and better. So be ready for that. And make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notifications for these great shows. And make sure you share and let your friends know. Let other Ravens fans know what's going on with the King Ravens fan chat. So our subject today is what is keeping the Ravens from Super Bowl number 3? What is keeping the Ravens from Super Bowl number 3? Is it the organizational stubbornness and dollar store philosophy? Is it their drafting philosophy or refusal to move up in the draft to get name brand players from name brand winning college programs? Or is it willingness to part with star scouts to other teams within the NFL because of pay? Or is it refusal to revert back to the 4-3 defensive scheme, which was a scheme that the 2000 Ravens ran? Or is it their ineffectiveness in free agency in the offseason? And lastly, could it be their unwillingness to part ways with non-playmaking players? All right, so we got some hot stuff going on here today at King Ravens Fan Chat. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. We're going to go with our first topic: organizational stubbornness and dollar store philosophy. And when I say dollar store philosophy, I mean, I was always told, if you want quality, you'll have to pay for it. Or you pay for what you get. Okay? So if you go into the free agency with a dollar store mentality that you're going to try to find the cheapest player that will not cost the organization too much money on a cheap contract, a 1-year contract, that's what you're going to get. And I got one more thing. Come here, Ravens. Stop drafting former players from stop signing former players from the Atlanta Falcons. Please. We don't need no more players from the Atlanta Falcons. That was only one exception to that philosophy for me, and that was Julio Jones, and we wouldn't draft him because he probably wanted a couple extra dollars that we weren't willing to pay him. Okay? So you just got to take a look around the NFL, see what these other teams are doing far as stacking their team with effective players that can get the job done. You know what I'm saying? I'm not bashing no players. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things. You got injuries, you got scheme, you got everything that involves a player in our organization. If they are not effective, they are not successful. So you just can't blame it on the player himself or even the coaching. You know what I mean? It all depends. Because a lot of times the coaches got to put these players in the position to be successful. And I think that's what's going on with Odafe Oweh. I just think Odafe Oweh needs to be in a 4-3 scheme. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Because you can see from last year to this year, he is non-existent. You know what I mean? It's like, where is he at? Is he playing? Is he starting? You don't even hear nothing about him. He had 5 tackles last week. 5 tackles. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. It can't happen. Defensive coach, linebacker coach, get with that young man. and set him up for success and get his mind right so we can start seeing Adafi Owe do what we know he is capable of doing, because he has a high ceiling, and I know he is capable of being great. So getting back to the dollar store philosophy. So in the off season, we'll talk about that later on. I'm not going to dive into off season just yet, but the organization mentality of just being, I'm going to say it, just being cheap. Sometimes you got to spend some money. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep all the money. Spend some of that money to get you a Super Bowl. That's what everybody else is doing. The LA Rams did it. The Buffalo Bills are doing it. Look at them. Look how great they are. Look at that roster they have built. Okay? Have they spent some money to build that roster? Yes, they have. You know what I mean? So the way we spend money has got to be more effective. If you're going to spend the money on players, free agents, okay, drafting, okay, coaching, that's going to help you get to the Super Bowl. That's just me. Now, make sure anything I'm talking about, make sure you comment on it. I want to hear your point of view on this. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. This is just my opinion as a fan and speaking for other fans as I read the blogs, as I read the YouTube videos from the press conference, the comments from the press conferences and everything. I'm just going by how the fans are feeling and how I'm feeling, in my opinion. So, that's not in stone. That's not the opinion of the Baltimore Ravens or the NFL. You know what I'm saying? I'm not an NFL executive. Of course, I probably could be, me and my son, because we've how can you say it? We identified players that would have been great in the organization, like Derrick Henry. I don't know why we didn't draft him. And it's a lot of others, but we're not going to go there. But anyway, so the organization got to get out of that stubbornness. Oh, we don't spend big in free agency. We don't pay former players a lot of money, and we don't do this, we don't do that. Okay, so is that philosophy working? Have you been to a Super Bowl since 2013, 2012 season? Have you been to a Super Bowl? No. Okay. How many playoff games have you won since then? So that's telling me that we are going back into the fool's mentality. And what do fools do? They do the same thing every year, expecting different results. And it just don't happen. And it's definitely not going to happen in today's NFL. So the organization, to me, need to kind of come off that they're set in stone philosophies. Okay? They might have worked a couple of years ago, but they're not working now. They're not working now. You know what I mean? What worked yesterday won't work today. What worked last year is not going to work this year. The NFL changed every year. But one thing about football, I don't care what level it is, there are things that do not change. That's catching the ball, making a tackle, defending the pass, defending the run, interceptions, turnovers, fumbles, okay, and a plethora of other things, okay? Those things do not change with football. It's been around and it's been there ever since football was invented, okay? Football doesn't change. So don't believe that the NFL, it doesn't change into a passing league and all the rules. Okay, they got all the rules, but guess what? They are still tackling. They are still catching the ball. They are still running past defensive backs. They are still intercepting the ball. They are still sacking the quarterback. They are still recovering fumbles. So that tells you right there that the NFL football hasn't changed, okay? The players and the coaching has, and the philosophies have. Okay, that's what has changed. And the organizations that are successful year in and year out show you that. They show you that. Okay, so that's where I'm at with that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to beat that horse anymore. We're just going to move on. But those are some of the opinions and what I see, what I have seen since 2012, so to say, or 2008 when John Harbaugh became the head coach. I just noticed these things, the behind the scene things. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we at on that. Drafting, number two, drafting philosophies. Drafting philosophies. Refusing to move up in the draft. I don't know when the Ravens have moved into the top 10 if they wasn't already in the top 10 or the top 5. I don't know when the last time that happened. It might have happened recently. I haven't really done no deep research in that, but it's not too often. They had a tendency to move back before they move up. And I just, that philosophy of waiting for a player to fall to you, it's not bad philosophy, because sometimes you'll get a gem, but a lot of times you won't. You know what I'm saying? That's just the nature of the beast. So, sometimes you got to move up in that draft to get the player, to get that elite college football player from an elite college football program, okay? SEC, Alabama, Clemson, you know what I'm saying? Somebody got a record, Georgia, How many players have we drafted from Georgia? Do we have anyone on our roster right now from Georgia? I don't know. Maybe we do. All right. But we missed several good players from Georgia in this last draft. And stuff like that just come on now. We got to do better with that. Sometimes you just got to change your philosophy. There's nothing wrong with change. We don't do that. We don't draft off a need. You don't draft off a need. Well, mighty funny, you need a pass rusher, a middle linebacker, okay? Some cornerbacks, offensive linemen that can block somebody, that are big, that can get push for our running backs. So, you can say what you want to say, but unless you're willing to change how you look at things, you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over, and we continue to talk about the same problems every year. We have the same problems every year. How many years have we been talking about tackling? I've been talking about tackling probably since 2014. The tackling has basically sucked ever since 2014. I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just being honest. I love my team. Believe me, I love my team. You don't know how much I love the Baltimore Ravens. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people say, oh, you just spoiled off of Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, all those Hall of Famers and everything. But guess what? They had years when Ed Reed was there and Ray Lewis where the defense wasn't good now. So you just can't sit there and say that it's just because of Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and the other players, Nada, Suggs. You just can't say that, because they had some bad years even when they were playing. Okay, and could it be because of the scheme? We're gonna talk about that. All right, our willingness to part with star scouts to other teams because of pay. The Ravens has been known to have some of the best scouts in the NFL. Look how many scouts have went to the Philadelphia Eagles and other teams throughout the league. And you know Harbaugh's philosophy on that? Oh, we will not stop a assistant or a scout, player personnel, management, or whoever from going to another organization and doing great things. You ain't leaving up out of here. How much they say they're gonna pay you? I'm gonna give you a $5,000 bonus. Okay? I'm gonna give you $1 million bonus if the defense is number one this year. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. You just puck with your players. Oh, I'm happy for them. You know what I mean? We are happy for them. But it affects the player personnel department. It affects the draft. It affects free agency. Okay? Because the scouts scout other teams during the season. They scout other teams in the off season. Look at the who's being released. Look how many elite players were released this year, and we wouldn't pounce on none of them. But now we're trying to go in there, and here we go again. We are drafting Atlanta Falcons no good linebackers. You know what I'm saying? No good running backs. Out of desperation. Now we in a desperate mode. When you had a chance to get everything you needed to fix all the issues that you had the previous year, you had a whole off season to get those personnel in there that can help this organization win games. All right. Now I'm not saying that this only game 2, so I'm not overreacting to the Miami Dolphins game, because that was just a lack of communication, people in the wrong place, letting receivers get by them. So I'm not overreacting that. That was a how can you say it? A every now and then type of thing. That should never happen again. And every so often you had those type of games. All right, you remember Denver came into M&T Bank Stadium and skull drug the Ravens, and then the Ravens went to the Super Bowl. Do y'all remember that? So don't let that game. They're gonna jump on the Miami Dolphins bandwagon all they want to, but guess what? They're gonna be the Miami Dolphins, and you got some teams like Buffalo that's gonna go down there next week and take care of their business. Because they have scouts who've seen the Ravens game say, "Oh, if the Ravens can score that many points, 35 to 14, okay, in 3 quarters, I know we can do it, but we're going to have our defense ready." If you got a double team, the only thing they had to do was double team Tyreek Hill, Gesicki, and Waddle. That's all they had to do, double team them. You ain't getting no pass rush. I don't know what happened to that. He just stopped blitzing. Why wouldn't you want to blitz the quarterback with those fast wide receivers? And then you ain't got your star players out there, your Pro Bowl players out there. Then the ones that are out there are hurt and confused. They don't know the plays. Don't nobody know what's going on. We're not making any adjustments. Where the adjustments at? Make the adjustment. You see what's going on. You see what they were going to do. That's all they could do at that point. They was desperate. All right, but we're gonna leave that alone. This ain't a review of that horrific loss. So we're gonna keep that moving. Refusal to revert back to the 4-3 defense. And I think that's a big mistake, especially for them. You know what I mean? A lot of people say, well, they just don't have the players to be successful with that type of scheme. That's not the correct answer for that. Well, you go get them. You go find the players that will make that scheme successful. It worked for the 2000 Ravens, and it can work for the 2022 Ravens and beyond. Okay, because football, never change. You got to tackle, you got to cover, you got to intercept, you got to throw the ball, you got to catch the ball. Okay, it's just the basic fundamentals. So what you do, you go in the offseason in the draft to find the best players that can do that. Even if you got to move up, even if you got to pay a free agent a couple extra dollars just to come to your team, you do what you got to do to win. All right. So that 3-4 is I just think that's the defense the Ravens need to be in. Okay. I think that's the defense the Ravens need to be in. All right. The 3-4 defense. For uninitiated, this means the Ravens would deploy 3 defensive linemen and 4 linebackers in their base defense. Okay? The Ravens run a hybrid defense that can switch effortlessly between 3, 4, and 5-man defensive lines without changing personnel. Versatility important because it allows the defense to adjust to what the offense is doing before the snap. The players can move around and react to the offense. I think that's a little too much going on. The 4-3 defense is more simpler. Okay, for one thing, you got 4 defensive linemen rushing the quarterback. which free up the linebackers to see ball, get ball, which you can also run double coverage on these elite wide receivers and keep them from getting behind our defense. That 4-3 defense, the Ravens need to go back to that 4-3 defense. And they can always switch back to the 3-4, okay? But at least try it out. Why do you keep running? I'm telling you, that 3-4, listen, that thing has been horrendous in Baltimore. It has been horrendous. I don't know when they got out of it, but ever since they got out of it, it's been horrendous, even when Ray Lewis and Ed Reed was there, and Suggs, okay? So we need to get back to the 4-3 defense, because that defense will stop all that mess that's going on now. I guarantee you it would, okay? Why not try it? Okay, why keep doing the same thing over and over? And every year we talk about they can't tackle. Every year we talk about they can't cover. Every year we talk about teams just scoring us when they at will. All right. Ineffectiveness in free agencies. Stop going to Atlanta and getting these old retired free agents that were no good when they first came out of college in Atlanta. To that, you know what I'm saying? Come on, you got to stop doing that. Go out there and make a splash. Get the players that can get the job done, pay them the money, and put them on the team so we can win a Super Bowl. I'm not going to even pump on that anymore, all right? Unwillingness to part ways with non-playmakers. That's just, you know what I mean, I don't know. I think they kind of get the touchy-feely thing, you know. I just feel it. I just feel like he's going to get better. I just feel like it's... No, it's not. Get rid of him. Get somebody there and get the job done, man. Get somebody and get the job done. So, hey, that's it for me, babbling. I want to thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Make sure you share. And definitely make sure you turn on those notifications, okay? And until the next video, I'll talk to you later. May you be safe. May you have a great day. And like I always say, go Ravens.